talk to us about. So she'll kick us off this morning.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. My name is Maria Gambrell, and I am the Business Development Manager at Plan Group Title. We're a full service title and closing company based out of Lexington, but we have offices in Central Kentucky, all the way to Louisville, up to Northern Kentucky, and we can service the entire state. So I have been there for a little over 7 years. Have done a lot of things behind the scenes leading up to this role. So I've had odds are if you've had a closing with us over the past 7 years, you've probably, on either side, you've probably come across me in some shape or form. But really, I just go out and support like in office meetings. From here, I'm heading to Richmond to a monthly office meeting at an office there. I'm a really good point of contact for our office for anything that you need, because I have done a lot of things. Like when I first started with Land Group, we were a lot smaller, and I learned how to balance CDs, write title commitments, order payoffs, contact HOA. I did some closings back in the day, and then my role morphed into more of just agent support. So just anything that the agents need, or lenders as well. I'm a good go-to person because I don't do closings, so I'm usually accessible by phone or email. And our owner and lead attorney has been practicing in Kentucky since 2002. Karen Mummy is her name. But really, we're here to support you, and our end goal is to make you all look good at your closings and provide really good customer service. So at the end of the day, when your clients leave the closing, they go out and refer you to their family and friends for the future. So thank you so much for having me here. I've enjoyed getting to know a lot of the agents in your all's office, and so I'd love to have an opportunity to work with you all as well.
Well, thank you for breakfast.
Of course, yes. There's some pastries and some water and fruit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we started for those of you who know Kathy Sharp. She is our title person. We didn't utilize Kathy a whole lot when we had cash buyers. I think most of us wound up just working with an attorney or a title company. But Kathy has also partnered with Maria. So if you have a cash buyer, they can collaborate, work together, and get that done through the services title. And I know she presented to us a while ago and is coming back to talk to us, but she was kind of always hanging out there in the back, and I don't think we worked with her as much as maybe we could have, and now
we're able to
a little more.
Yeah.
So
she'll present in July, but Maria said that she's the point of contact. I have emailed you and texted you at odd hours, weekends, everything, and I will say that anyone over there, especially you, are very accessible. You know, I have last minute questions or a closing coming up on a Monday and needed, something else asked on, maybe Saturday night. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I know you all do not work 9 to 5 jobs, so I'm definitely available in the evenings and weekends for questions. I was texting someone at 5:30 this morning. They had a closing at Hazard, and then the seller was remote. She was like, just making sure we did set the remote closing up. And I was like, yes, all good. Just peace of mind.
Yeah.
Can you tell them a little bit about the remote closing? I had one with you guys on Friday. My folks had moved to Florida, and I came to the office for the buyers briefly, but it's called a RON closing.
It's called a RON closing, remote online notary. And one of our actual closers in our Lexington office is certified in RON. So if we're doing a RON closing, it's Melanie in our office. And so we've just noticed over the years that sellers oftentimes don't come to closing for whatever the reason. They've already moved, they're traveling, just don't want to come. And so we've come a long way versus, emailing the docs, having them printed, going to a notary, getting everything signed and notarized, making sure everything was done correctly, shipping it back to us, waiting on that to come back. And so that has just kind of seemed like ancient now that, there's so many virtual ways to do things now. So RON closings can be done in and out of the U.S. If your client may be traveling in another country or just has already moved, say to Alabama or Florida, Melanie, you just let us know, or the seller lets us know they're not going to be at closing, and Melanie will set that up. It's very user friendly. Even someone who's not very tech savvy, she can walk them through the process. They just hop on either their phone or their computer and do their virtual signing. They don't have to print anything out. Like for instance, this one in Hazard, we have a buyer closing in Hazard. So we have a closer going down there right now to sign the buyer at 11. And so the sellers had already moved out of state. And so Melanie is signing them virtually at 10:30 so that we can sign, seal, deliver, everything's done at 11 o'clock when the buyer signs, and then we'll just wire the proceeds to the seller after the buyer signs.
So they don't have to have a person in person anymore with a wet signature?
Not for sellers. So,
Buyers.
well, cash buyers can do that as well. Cash buyers can sign remotely if they just say they bought a property in Kentucky, but they haven't moved here yet and they want to go ahead and sign. We can sign cash buyers remotely. Financed buyers still have to be in person. And if they are out of state, we use a service called LPC. It's a notary service that's real estate specific. So the notary that goes to them is knowledgeable about closing docs and not just, random notary.
Okay.
And so we coordinate those as well. The issue is that lenders are wanting the promissory, the note signed in person or wet signature. We have had 2 lenders this past year do remote closings for buyers. It's, we haven't had very many, but I do think it will down the road eventually happen. Not right now, but
Okay.
But we do have options if people cannot come to closings. So you just let us know that and we'll take care of the scheduling, documents, everything. Yeah.
And is that different fees depending on the situations?
Yes. So the remote online notary, I think her standard fee is $195 for a virtual closing, whether that's a cash buyer or any seller. And then the LPC service, it fluctuates. I think it's between like 150 and 200 based on where the buyer is located. So if the notary has to travel, X amount of miles. So, but Heidi that works in our office, can get a quote for them once she knows where they're located and how close a notary is to them. And so, these have really taken the place of POAs a lot of times, especially on the seller side. And so, it's very similar to the cost of a POA because we would have to prepare the POA for $100, record it for $50. So a lot of people, and that does have to be, signed and then sent. We have to have the original at closing. So the virtual Ron closings we have them on our schedule every single day. People are using them so often.
The way it went for my folks was we notified them right away that they had moved and they would want the Ron closing. But then I think it was as soon as the settlement statement was issued, she put into play the actual email that went out to them that was in Qualia that just said, okay, we're ready for your closing. You'll go visit this link. My folks were not tech savvy, older couple. They asked the question, do we need our computers or phones? What do we need to do for that? She gave them instructions and she said, we can close today or tomorrow. They did it right away. I mean, it was like, boom, they were done with their side. And then the buyers closed the next day. But they said it was very simple.
Yes.
And they're not tech savvy at all. They just you just go right into the link and directions were given and they really appreciated it.
And it's nice because it's one of our employees. It's a land group person. So they're
And who goes over those documents with them?
Melanie, the closer.
Okay.
So she virtually is going over with them and the
As they're
realtor
signing?
as they're signing. Well, they'll get like the deed and the settlement statement in advance for review, but then like the affidavits, the 1099. So she'll explain all of that to them. And the realtor can hop in on the virtual signing as well. So you can be there while they're signing, log in while they're signing as well.
And what does the RON?
Remote online notary. And they're so helpful when like your client knew ahead of time they weren't going to be there. But sometimes people, plans change or work schedules change. And when we'd have to email the documents and have them mailed back to us, if someone told us last minute, it was, a little
Chaos.
chaotic. Yes.
Mhm.
So this is really nice because, the day of, they can say, someone is sick or we had to leave town, and we can go ahead and get it on the schedule right away. We don't have to worry about waiting on UPS to get the dogs to us. And
So did you say we would receive a link if we wanted to be on there at the same time of our client?
so, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it came right out in Qualia, so it was like, she gave notice to them. And I was anticipating that they would say, yeah, tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and next thing I knew, it was like, we're done. They were
That's good.
excited to
Yeah.
Finish
They're
it
like,
up.
just go ahead
get
and
it done. Yeah.
And your locations, I'll just talk about your locations really quick. I've been to both now. The Hamburg one I hadn't been to till recently, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And it just makes your clients feel like you're bringing them into it's just nice. It's calming. The staff are really nice. Melanie is super, and bubbly. But it's elegant,
Yes, and
it's
we
nice.
we want it to be an experience because this is likely your client's biggest purchase they've ever made, and most of them are happy occasions, and so we want them, just to feel like this is just the icing on the top of the experience, and we want you all to look good as well. So yes, so that Hamburg office is very convenient from your all's location, but we will come here and close too. If you all prefer to close at this office, we're happy to do that. We have our Hamburg office. We have one on Wellington Way, which is close to Fayette Mall, in between Fayette Mall and Clays Mill Road. We have an office in Richmond. We have an office in downtown Danville. We have one in Northern Kentucky in the Fort Wright area. We have one in Louisville, one in Mount Washington, which is Bullitt County. And then we also have a location in New Albany, Indiana. We're licensed in Indiana, and then we're also licensed now in Ohio. But we don't have an office there, but based on the proximity of our Fort Wright office, it just made sense to have Ohio on our resume as well. So yeah, but we'll close anywhere. Like today, we sent a closure to Hazard to the agent's office down in Hazard. We have about 7 team members that actually do closing. Some are full-time closers. Some are closers that we use on heavy, Fridays where we've got 35 closings and we're sending people in a million directions. So we can 99.9% of the time accommodate whatever time and location you want. And I always say too, like if you send us a closing and you already know everybody wants to close on June 15th, I'm happy to pencil it in for you. Even before we get the clear to close, we'll just save the spot on our calendar so that your clients can at least work around that and schedule movers and whatever the case may be. But then that kind of gives you planning. And we understand things change, schedules change, lenders don't get clear to close on time or whatever the case may be. And so we roll with that. And if something has to change, we will make the modifications. We would never say, oh, sorry, you were scheduled for 3 o'clock on the 15th. We can't move it. We'll do whatever we have to make everybody, to put all the pieces together and make it work.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Guys have any questions? Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
What time do you have to be in Richmond?
By 12, there is a little meeting before at 11, but I don't always have to be there for the whole thing. So yeah, so it's perfect.
feel free to
Get on the interstate.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you now?
Yeah, we have a couple of anniversaries. Ken Kelly, I don't know the last time I saw him. I think actually he stopped in the Lexington office for a split second, but his anniversary is on the 14th or was. And then Alex Beckel is on the 22nd. So happy anniversary to those guys those two I rarely see. I wish we saw more of. Volunteer days, starts June 1st, the week of June 1st. And here for Georgetown is the Amen House. And the link came out in our past newsletter on Friday. It was also in the Bluegrass Realtors newsletter. So you can sign up for lunch or dinner service. And that is part of volunteer days. There are also other locations, but that's the one for Georgetown. Agent Photo Day. So if it has been 10 years or more since you got an updated photo, please sign up for June 16th. It will be close to Hamburg area off of Winchester Road. Was that called Lightbox?
Oh, yeah, Lightbox, sorry, I was.
Yeah, no, but it's beautiful. It's right there on Fortune Drive.
Mhm.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So just off of Winchester Road, it's white inside. It's really nice. They have a garage door in the back, but that's where we've done a lot of the photos. It's where we did the photos for the rollout of the new logo and branding. But great space. So we're going to do the photos there. Marketing team will be set up. If you have personalized signs and you want to bring those and get a photo with your sign, you can do that. Let's see. Yep.
Dessert auction?
Yep.
The dessert auction is Thursday at Simonin. If you're not familiar with that, they do a dessert auction every year. It's exactly what it sounds like. People bring their favorite desserts or store-bought items and they auction them. The goal is to raise $50,000 for their Habitat for Humanity house that they build. Some of us are going, so if you're interested in doing that, we can set up a little caravan for that, little carpool. But a couple of us are going to the dessert auction. It starts at 10. I think it finishes up about noon. So Misty is sending me with her famous peach pie that I will bring for that.
It might not make it.
I might not make it.
We'll just pay for it.
But they usually make just at the auction alone over $30,000. So that's a big one. And then throughout the year, a lot of the Simonin agents will take money from parts of their check or, make other donations, but it's a big fundraiser. So we're gonna go and check that out, be a part of that day. And if anybody's interested, that's Thursday at 10 a.m. If you guys have any mortgage lender connections that you would like to recommend to fill the prosperity spot, we have been working with a recruiter. He is going to work very hard at finding an agent, a lender that is appropriate for us. Okay, so he started some interviews. There have been some familiar faces in the interviews that I think you guys would be pleased with. But if you have a great recommendation, please let us know because he will come here. I think is he out of Colorado? Atlanta. And so he will come here and he will interview those folks. And we're looking for a great prosperity lender. So keep that in
You
mind.
know of anyone, shoot us an email.
Yes.
If you get
Yes.
fans of it.
Lender to have.
In-house lender.
Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
So-
it's prosperity.
Yeah. So they have an office within our main
Okay.
office.
Okay.
We've gone from 3 wonderful lenders down to 1, and now we're just in transition.
Okay.
So we do not have anybody in-house right now.
Who have you had before?
Aaron Mason, Kelly Swanson, Marcos, but he's moved to Florida.
Okay.
Brett Tinch was our last lender. And so now we're back to square one.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have 3 great lenders out of Louisville that we're still using that are with Prosperity. But it's nice to have somebody
Oh, absolutely.
in-house in person. So
Yeah, we're a good sounding board for that. I mean, just because we work with so many of them and
yeah.
Strong, organized,
Okay.
can get out and,
Outgoing.
with our agents. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah. It's somebody who will answer their phone and be
Right.
present.
Did you want it to be somebody local that could? Okay.
Yes. for
He
sure.
took our phone, that's always.
That's
fun.
right.
I know.
Answer the phone. Yes.
I don't know.
So, then that takes us into our pre-listing. Does anybody have any good listings coming on here soon?
Or a new listing that just came out. Yeah. Do you?
People will get moving.
Yes.
They've got the same thing.
Yeah.
I've got one in Harrison County that it's out in the country,
Uh-huh.
Collinsville.
Mhm.
That's where I grew up.
Huh?
That's where I grew up.
Really? Well, okay. So you
When will
know
that-
how great it is.
Mhm.
When will that one come out?
Maybe
June?
a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
So
Mhm.
195, I think. It's cleaned it up a lot. It's leaving a lot of stuff.
Acres, acreage.
1.78.
Have you gone in a nanosecond? I brought that little property on here in Georgetown. On, right over here, it was gone, on Parkside, it was
Yeah.
gone in 4 days. I fell over, on Parkside.
Oh, yeah, that's the one you asked me.
We talked about
It
it, and I
was one
looked
of
at
our
it later that
rentals, I'm
day, and
like-
I was like, yep.
Gone in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Little guy from Toyota,
Yeah.
young man. Kevin and I had a rental on Parkside that we just sold, and I just brought it on.
Really cute.
Sold in like 2 days. I mean, it was.
I'm
quick.
surprised it even took that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, we've been.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's wild.
Okay.
Beautiful place though.
Yeah.
It was
I
really,
didn't see the inside.
it
but-
was really cute.
It's cute, but
Paul
then
has one.
I have one of them, I have no idea if it's the one that's coming on, but it is a ramp. That's probably gonna be over 5. I have a heart pumps down on that one, and then one on Wargrave Walk, and then one on Hartley's Pass. And those 2 are like 4 bedrooms. So I have no idea about it's gonna be a little bit, one of them's kind of a border.
Oh,
Mhm.
Fun.
Oh, yeah.
Have fun with that.
yeah, I know.
Lake, on the lake,
Uh-huh.
big lake.
Yeah.
It's like vacation spots. Your house cleaned up, it's gonna be fall.
I know.
My guys both live there. It's so pretty there.
This has got the lot from the ski slope down. to-
Yes,
and you get
yes.
There, my gosh. Is the land behind it, is it steep too, or is it kind of? More level, there's not a whole lot behind it, you know, you're at the lake.
Is it
I
by
know
Lake
that some
Suda?
that real soon, there's some,
Yeah.
and then there's some that,
Yes.
you know.
Is there a dock hooked to that?
There is a dock.
Mhm.
The dock is, he bought the house 4 years ago for me and he put a dock in, or redid the dock completely.
Mhm.
They got a pontoon boat, and they have one of those big water.
Does that come with the house?
They can put out there.
Can that be negotiated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's smallish one like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's
it's
just-
on the list, it's on MLS or not?
No, it is not.
Oh, it's not.
Uh-huh.
When will that one come up? Did you say?
She doesn't know.
Oh.
And that's all she said.
Yeah.
No, she said she waited.
There was like snow on the ground. They had-
Oh.
Yeah.
They need some help. They've
You know-
got some people that can.
He's by himself,
Uh-huh.
and he works all the
Yeah.
time. He works at Toyota, and he works a second shift job that spills over into first shift and third shift.
We got people like.
Would he let you take it off?
Get that.
Yeah. Would he let you take it off as exclusive and then just get it sold?
Yeah, I think he would.
Yeah, maybe that's a good route to go.
He's just
Yeah.
not finished getting some things done.
Mhm.
The hands.
It's a ranch house. When you get down the driveway, you know, it's one level with walkout basement. That space.
Yeah,
Sounds like a good one. I'd get him to sign that
I would do an office.
exclusive
yeah,
right
like
to
you
sell
said.
and sell it.
Just tell you this. I go visit him once a week
Uh-huh.
and we talk about what he's gonna do, and then I go back the next week for that.
But even if it's not done, you can do that office exclusive now.
Yeah.
And then just,
He's not even ready for that yet. No, he's got.
I guess,
Mhm.
because he's by himself too, and everything is just thrown everything.
These people that they recommended for my lady next door, I mean, I'm serious, like it's incredible, like what they can do. And they'll get in there and get it done.
From where?
Oh, to clean it up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if it's a hoarder situation, I mean, they'll,
This guy's not.
or
Yeah.
they'll,
They just don't.
they'll
look.
organize it, and clean it up,
Yeah.
and do whatever needs to be done.
Very good housekeepers.
It makes it.
Look at me. I'm
Alex.
the only one keeping my house.
It probably depends on what they have to do.
Yeah,
They can come give you an
they just
estimate.
have a place
Yeah.
and put it in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
It's good.
What
So
was the
Janie got
one,
it.
called?
did they change their names? It used to be,
Not the junk loaders.
No,
yeah.
they had to come too, so.
The jump loaders are great.
Oh, we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
All in all.
Yeah, cause they were the ones that sent it to me. I'd have to
They
look it back up.
Determine what's junk and what's not.
Yeah.
Well, but you know,
Buyer's
your
got
person
to
can
get
kind
that
of direct them a little bit, but they
It's
will
not the
put a
snowflakes,
fire
it's
under them
Thomas,
and
and it's
get it
who she
moving.
uses.
Mhm.
Yeah, but she's. still
Whatever
good,
you
but
do,
yeah,
yeah.
still bad, yeah.
Yeah.
You better pay back. Stop.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
they
have
have a
something
schedule like that.
I told him, I said, whatever you do.
Yeah,
don't pay
smooth
contractors and think
transitions.
That they're gonna pay you back.
Yeah.
We're about $500 and 400 and something.
Yeah.
Shoot, that's who it was. They have,
Yeah,
it's now
Smooth
Misty and Mark.
Transitions, but they changed their
One
name.
went to-
The company was Smooth Transitions, but they changed their name. They just did one for me too, and they're godsend because they help them sort their stuff. So like this, yeah,
He can sort it. He's already hauled out and put in storage and moved a lot of stuff. that he
Yeah.
moved.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be hoarders. They'll help.
I'm sending it to you.
yeah, they had a new name.
Yeah.
but we can't-
This one has a kitchen, a bedroom,
This is
bathroom,
who it is now.
a huge recreation area downstairs. His aunt, who was disabled, lived down there. And that was part of the problem, is that he still had her stuff after she ended up having to go to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you might be able to get that sold before bringing it onto the MLS for sure. Anybody else have anything? Well, I know that you guys are experts at open houses because you've done a zillion of them. But yesterday at Focus, we talked about open houses and just kind of a refresher. I'm gonna leave these packets here. We're gonna watch a couple of ninja videos that talk about the open house and reinvigorating you to a different way of thinking, because really it's not only about getting the house sold, we know it's about getting new business, okay, and growing your business. So they provide some good tips in our ninja videos on some things to do. And then yesterday at Focus, we talked through and I don't think none of you guys were able to tune into that, but we talked through some different ideas that people had or that they had been doing, marketing ahead of time, giving it a good amount of time ahead of time to market those, creating maybe your monthly marketing calendar ahead of time, plugging the open houses into Flex ahead of time, and just planning for those, getting the marketing team to do some marketing for you. And then one of the things that one of the agents in the class talked about yesterday was asking those buyers that come through the open house, how did you find out about this open house, to see if your marketing is actually working, worth it, whether you're, putting in the dollars and you're doing it in the right spot. That was a really good suggestion that we had talked through. So I will leave these here. We don't need to go over these step by step, but it just might spark a little something extra, because we keep hearing we didn't have anybody show up at open house. Well, how can we fix that? Do we need more marketing to be thrown at that, or what can happen? Is it priced too high, or is it just a bad day? But if it keeps happening repeatedly, the seller doesn't love the empty open house because they've had to pack up, clear out, pack their kids up, all the things. And it's not a great look when we don't get folks in the door. So we want to try to help everybody get in the door. And then, last week we talked at the business meeting about an unrepresented buyer and how we handle that when they show up to our open house. And so I've also included some things, some board questions and some prompts that we might be able to ask those folks that come in up unrepresented, so that maybe you can acquire their business later. But I'll leave all this here, but we'll tune into some of this and then talk about it after.
Hey Ninjas, it's Eric Thompson. I'm here with your weekly Ninja Action Tip. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you ever struggle at an open house having the guests share their contact information? So this is a common challenge that we hear about, which by the way makes total sense because they're just meeting you for the first time. So we're going to give you a strategy that really works in that situation so that other people are happily and willingly sharing their contact information. So the strategy uses what's called the law of reciprocity. So the law of reciprocity is something that's taught inside of Ninja Selling, and it simply goes like this. If someone does something nice for you, you are going to feel naturally inclined to do something nice back to them. So for example, if you and I were to go to coffee and we go up to the counter to pay for the coffee and you say to me, hey, Eric, I got it. This time it's on me. I will thank you, but my internal dialogue will say, okay, next time I need to make sure that I pay. Next time I need to make sure that it's on me. See, that's the law of reciprocity at work. So here's how it works at an open house and having the guest share their contact information. So the scenario is this, they come into the open house and you make them feel warm and welcome, giving them the Ninja 3-step greeting. You give them some really valuable, interesting information on the property. They take a tour, and now there you are back in the kitchen, let's say, reconnecting with them. And there you are building relationship with them, building a connection, building up rapport. You're asking forward questions. And now they are asking you about the market. and you're giving them some great insights and information about the market. And then you ask that really magic open house ninja question, which is this: hey, do you folks have a buyer's packet? And they're likely to say, no, we don't. What's a buyer's packet? And you respond with simply, well, gosh, it's everything you would ever want to know about buying and owning real estate here in our area, here in our community. I'd be happy to give one to you. I actually have one right over here. Would you like one? And they are likely to say yes. You say, great, I'll be right back. So you go get the buyer's packet and you bring it back and you open it for them and you walk them through quickly what's inside. You tell them what's inside related to the market information, information about the process of purchasing, information about the community. And then in that moment, you say to them, boy, it would really help me out if you wouldn't mind just jotting down your contact information right here. It helps me to keep track of the people that come here to visit me. And the thing is, the fact that you are asking in the exact moment that you are giving them something of value, that you are showing them something that is highly valuable to them and very relevant to them, that's why it works. And it's using the law of reciprocity. So we hope this works for you. And we wish you happy open housing. It's certainly open house season. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we look forward to seeing you really soon. Take care.
So and we do have one more, but so if you want to put together a buyer's guide and you don't have one, well, we do have some things in the tower, buyers from start to finish in those handouts on the buying process, but there is a buyer's guide in your marketing center. So you can either print those in color here, or you can order up the buyer's guide. You can also adjust those by putting your own pages in there. So let's say you have a lender that you're working with, or you're working with Prosperity. They will have a handout on the guide to home ownership for that lender. You can insert those in there. There's a page adjustment. Our marketing team can do that. So if you want to put together a nice hard copy booklet to take to your open houses, when you're ordering your open house materials, you can also order those to be sent, or order them ahead of time and just have a generic one.
There's marketing slicks that are already ready, and it'll say for listing or FSBO or whoever. And you can go in there and print them out. It talks about pricing, getting your house ready. It talks about open houses. So they're always good to have part of that packet to take to your sellers.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Hello Ninjas, it's Ninja Bob coming to you from the Ninja World headquarters in beautiful Fort Collins, Colorado. Hey, what season is it? It's open house season, right? Yeah, I'm sure that you've heard our Ninja Challenge for the month of May is our open house challenge. Let me give you 3 quick wins to make any open house a great success. First off, have plenty of signs. My rule of thumb is you always put out at least 10 signs and you have your name on them. Even if people can't stop by your open house, you want them to see your name. You want them to see that you're busy, that you're productive, and that you're working hard for your sellers. 2, if they aren't able to stop by your open house, have something on your sign so that they can connect with you. Your name and phone number at the bare minimum, or how about things like a QR code, something that they could scan and either get an item of value from you or request information from you as well. And third, have things in your open house that are items of value. Have something like a floor plan or a walking tour. And when somebody comes in, be able to give that to them. Remember, hit on both art and science, make them feel welcome, give them value, and what will they return to you? They'll return value to you. And what is the value that we're looking for from an open house? Some information so that we can connect with them and follow up with them after the open house. Check the link below for Eric Thompson's open house tip from a couple of weeks ago to expand on these ideas, and join the Ninja Open House Challenge for May. We'll see you somewhere along the Ninja path.
How many of you guys get the Ninja email every week? Okay, couple.
How many put out 10 signs?
Yes. Listen, there's an agent in Lexington, Malia, we'll say is her first name, that when she first started, she lined Harrodsburg Road with signs right down that median there. This was years ago, but it was open house, open house, open house, open house. And it was ridiculous. She's laughing all the way to the bank. Let's just say that, but she was very successful. But when she first started, I mean, she would put out 50 signs and right down the median, all the way to the neighborhood. Yes.
Surprised they-
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Another agent in Lexington also did something very funny at my friend's listing. She put slow children at play signs all the way up to her open house. So you had to slow roll all the way to the open house.
That is good.
I thought, well, that was clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Well,
Well,
the choir, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say on that note, there's somebody in our neighborhood that has a little turtle that has.
Yeah,
Slow down.
yeah.
And this one they have says, slow down, Karen.
Oh,
that's hilarious.
They're on the one now. It's cute. But now Karen, I think, is no longer the term. I think it's been changed. It's been Brittany or somebody now.
Oh.
Oh. Do you guys have any good open house suggestions?
Or
Anybody
do you
doing-
post them
I
on?
usually do like a drawing and that's how I get the information. Just fill out the little thing and just
Yeah.
tell them I'm not gonna call and bug you, blah, 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 I'll just let you know if you want or not.
Right.
And in hopes when you do say, you do call them, that they might get a little bit more of a bond with you.
Well, you can always put them in your sphere and then give them the monthly newsletter or whatever else that you're sending out. Yeah. Yeah.
Would it
Mary
be like
has
a gift
created.
card
Gift
or?
card typically.
Yeah.
Here's sign-in sheets that you all can use. These two are on your hub, that Mary printed out, brought, but do you all use sign-in sheets for your open houses?
When I did that, I did.
Mhm. 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 Yeah. Do you give all your open houses away now, usually to other?
I mean, honestly, the last few listings I've had have just sold so quickly, there's not been an opportunity.
Are always the case.
Yeah,
That they go quickly.
For the last few years, it's not been too necessary.
right, I just,
Right.
Yeah.
and I don't feel real comfortable doing them anymore, so they're real safe.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that for a minute too, because there have been some major safety issues lately. And I would always say, if at all you're feeling uncomfortable, certainly bring somebody with you to sit during the open house time. We have, if you pay attention to Bluegrass Realtors Facebook page, there are some warnings out there. There have been a couple of situations of recent where either people are peeking in windows in vacant properties repeatedly, or there was somebody who was going to all of the open houses that people were getting bad vibes from. So just keep your eyes and ears open. But that's a good, Bluegrass Realtors Facebook is a good resource. And then if you get somebody creepy, notify everybody is what I would do. And I told forewarn, forewarn can help you. Also leave the front door. I mean, if you feel like there's somebody in that house that is you don't want to be around, step yourself outside. Don't feel like you have to stay there for the seller. And tell them ahead of time, if I get into a situation where I feel things are creepy, I'm abandoning ship, and that's, at least they've known you front loaded that on that end.
Yeah.
So.
But forewarn, do you all use that often?
I do,
I do.
but I mean, how would you use it in that situation? You're not gonna have a phone number.
You won't, you won't. But if people call you to go show a home, forewarn them. Don't go out there by yourself, especially if you don't know them.
And speaking of that, like I got a lead listing thing from, it looks like it's from the office or whatever. I reached out to the person, they didn't respond. I reached out to the agent because they had supposedly had a question. The agent didn't respond. I mean, it's like, then I also felt like it didn't seem real. Like some of the stuff they were saying weird stuff.
Right.
Most of the things that they sent me were pending. And then they just had a weird comment. And I was like, is this even legit? Like none of these things they send me seem legit.
Yeah.
None of them.
That's your instinct. Yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't moved forward with any of it, but I did send an email, but there was no response for that. And I feel like I did try to get on Forewarn and check the phone number, but how is that? Are these just people just sending that message? How is that working? Like, it's like there's no,
For the leads?
yeah.
Oh, this is a really good question. So we are going to be having Kim Mullins visit us for
Our next
our
meeting.
next business meeting. And she's going to I would ask a lot of those questions to her about relocation, leads, how we're getting all those. We are moving leads in-house from the website. So those are going to be coming to us to disperse. And we'll have a system where they just come in and they get shot out based on who's part of that program. We won't choose who's getting them. They'll just get, sent out to folks. But those are some really good questions for Kim as to how those things are coming in. Op City is changing. If you're part of Op City, you received an email that Op City will be a pay-to-play situation in the future. Another thing we want you to be real aware of is if you're using different relocation lead programs, make sure you understand the terms and conditions. Be the fine print, because we have had in one weekend, last weekend, I think it was the weekend before, two of our agents said, I didn't realize we owed 40% to Home Story plus a 1%, payback to the buyer or the seller. So it's sneaky. They're asking you to accept it, and then you do receive the handout that says the terms, but just familiarize yourself with that if you're getting lead gen. Then it'll help you to make the decision as to whether or not you want to take that lead. I think it's wonderful that you're getting essentially a free lead and you're going to make, a percentage off of it, but some of them are very hard work that you'll work for a year. And then all of a sudden,
Or longer.
or longer, and then all of a sudden, if you realize you now owe 1% of your commission on top of the 40%, if that's a surprise to you, then it really sucks.
And not
So
only are you working it for a long time, maybe it's outside of where your area normally is, and you're wasting all that gas and, it's not worth it.
Your time.
Yes.
I fired myself from one of them.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
It started out like a 45 minutes.
See the wording on the pending
But then it
thing?
ended up being an hour.
There's 2 or 3 like that. And then there was one that wasn't pending, but he didn't respond to that. So it just sounds fishy to me.
Stephen Parker Properties at Gmail. I wonder if he's just buying and selling like a
I said,
wholesaler.
I'm sorry, I want you guys to find.
I know we didn't
That's coming
respond.
off the website.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good point.
Ask him that Kim is coming, June 9th at the meeting. Yeah.
I had a call on housing for sales from a woman who, apparently she's just calling the listing agents to show her property, said she'd already sold her house and as we talked and chatted, I got more information from her, and she said she's been looking for about a year and a half. And I'd already asked her if she had an agent she worked with because she sold her house. She said, oh no, we haven't signed with anybody. So what are you doing? Are you just calling up the listing agent to show you the house?
Yes,
Probably.
a deal.
Yeah.
They want a deal. Yeah, and that's where that unrepresented buyer business comes in. Did you guys tune into that meeting the other day? Do you have questions about that? We can maybe clear some of that up.
Which one?
On the buyer representation agreement when Rhonda was talking about buyer representation.
What you can.
It got very confusing in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Doctor's appointment that morning.
So are you guys okay with me just talking about
Yes,
that
ma'am.
real quickly? Okay, so
I watched it, but it was
it's very confusing. Okay, so Rhonda created a form for an unrepresented buyer for that scenario. Okay,
Mhm.
so you may show a property, you're listing, and you just provide them the facts like an open house, right? If they come in unrepresented and they say they're unrepresented, you can even say to them, I may tell you about this house, but do nothing else for you, essentially. So she created a form that you can have that says you're an unrepresented buyer and you sign off on that. Okay. So you may use that and put that into place. Well, it then took us into our buyer representation agreement. And for so many people, the buyer representation agreement is confusing. Okay. And that's paragraph number 2. You're either writing in there that Rector Hayden is collecting 6% and you're sharing 3 down in number 3, or you're saying Rector Hayden is only collecting 3% on the list, and that next number, cooperative compensation, is either just left blank or a 0. Well, Stacy shared that it was 3 and 3. Well, she was looking at her Simonin form, okay, which is different, and it's actually better than ours. So the chances are we're going to move into a form that is better. And so what happened was on the Simonin form, it gives you choices, like you're going to collect a cooperative compensation. You're only going to collect the
Is this on the
listing,
listing side when you're doing your
the
listing?
listing link. Yeah, the exclusive
Right.
right to sell.
Okay.
Okay. So it just has choices. I'm collecting a flat fee. I'm collecting blah, blah, blah. It's standard. Check it here. And for ours, what our form means and what it's always meant is that we're collecting a certain part amount as a listing agent, and we're either going to share or we're not going to share. So it will always look like you have a 6 and a 3, or you have a 3 and a 0.
We'll talk about this. more in
Okay,
a
yeah, we'll
minute.
go back to that. Or 3 and a 0. So don't change anything you're doing right now. But it got a little convoluted in that meeting when people started asking questions. And she was talking about her form and Rhonda was talking about our form. So it was confusing. So knock out what you heard, continue what you're still doing. Okay. Cooperative compensation is fading away, really, because it's in our new contract. Okay, so the buyer is asking for the seller to pay their buyer representation through the contract. So you don't necessarily have to collect a cooperative compensation because the seller is going to do their job with the buyer and settle it that way. So continue what you're doing right now on that buyer representation form with a 6 and a 3 or a 3 and a 0, we'll just use those, could be other numbers. But I would expect that we will probably change to a more functional form. And I think the one that Stacy was talking about with regards to Simonin the other day, it's a little more clear and laid out than what our form is. Now, Rhonda created both of those forms. So our job is just to meet with them to figure out, is their form the one we should be adopting as well? And Rhonda would rewrite
And if
that.
your sellers, you had mentioned you can do 3 and 0 or, the 6. Instead of 0, sometimes I put TBA because I know they want to offer that, but we just don't want to write a 3 in. What if they write 2.5 in the contract and then my, seller is out 3 now? So, you can do that as well and have them sign off and then whatever comes in the contract.
Sellers, when they list their house, don't want to say how much they're
Right.
giving to the buyer.
Right.
Because they don't know what the offer is gonna be.
So that's when you say, yes, they are, go ahead and include it in the contract.
Mhm.
And that way you don't have to say 3 or 2.5 or whatever, yeah. Here was other form that came about, so the unrepresented buyer agreement. So if you have somebody that calls, you're showing them the property, they don't want to be represented at all, your duty is to your seller and your seller only. You're not to give them a contract. They can write it on a napkin and present it to you, and then you can present it to your sellers. You, again, don't cross that line. If they have questions, they can go to legal counsel of their own. We're not calling Rhonda on their behalf, asking questions. Again, we stay in our lane. Let's see what else said. Don't give them any advice, opinions, none of that. You can give them the main items that are on MLS, bedroom, square footage, all that kind of stuff, but don't go into detail about any financing, that kind of stuff. So just be really aware of walking that line if they are adamant that they don't want to be represented.
And they'll probably go away once you present them the form.
Yeah.
They might not sign it, that's fine. But also let them know that you're not going to be representing them because you don't work for free. Right.
So, I mean, I don't know if that ever happens, but let's just, somebody comes in, they don't want to be represented. They present you with some crappy contract, whether it's on a napkin or a piece of paper,
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Mhm.
What are you suggesting we do as the listing agent at that point? Because when we've talked about other agents bringing contracts from other MLSs that we don't like or that are not good, are you suggesting that we rewrite this some way on our contract, which then kind of is, what I
Right.
mean?
But
Like,
you're not, it's different than saying.
then we're kind of doing their job, sort of. You know what I mean? We're still kind of doing that buyer's job.
Yeah, I think.
So what are you recommending?
I think
that is, because you want to protect your seller, so you don't want some BS thing that's going to come back to bite them because it didn't have the fully executed details.
But you present it to your seller.
Sure.
So I wouldn't go in and start writing up stuff. I would present it and say, how do you want to proceed? If they like that offer and want to accept it, or if they want to tweak it, then I would go back and say, they don't like that offer, they like this, and I would discuss it. And then once we came to an agreement, I would put it all in and send it to them to sign. Now, if they had questions about any of it, or, financial part, or what about this? No, you let an attorney discuss it. I'm not going to explain the contract to you. I'm going to write it up and send it back.
Do you never ask for a pre-approval letter?
I would.
I would.
I would
Yeah.
too.
Get
Yeah.
anything with.
Even if it was cash, I would say, let me, show me
Have to
proof
have
of
record
funds.
that you got. the
Yeah.
ability.
Show me proof of funds.
I would say renegotiate yourself at that point too. So either they could take that offer and you could say to your seller, you've received this offer. If you like this offer, my recommendation would be that you take that to your attorney. If you want to keep it in this format, your attorney, not your attorney, goes ahead and reviews it. If you want to keep it in that format, if you want me to handle this, then if I'm going to be representing this contract in any way for this buyer, I charge X percent.
But don't you think that that's putting us in a very dangerous position? Because let's say they write this contract and maybe it looks great to the seller because they're not talking about inspections and they're not talking about, you know, all the things that would protect them. Don't you think that's kind of putting us in a position for a potential lawsuit down the road? Because now then they're going to come back and say, well, we didn't know and they didn't tell us, and you know that there was this and that, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, at least if they have another agent, that agent's informing them of the things that they need to protect them. I just kind of feel like that's putting us in a really
But I think it's
dangerous.
also on the flip side, you offered representation. They denied it. This form, if it's signed, would be another level of protection that, again, we're not going to do all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And that's where that legal part, if you can get this signed,
Okay.
really helps out.
I think a lot of it is risk tolerance and acting with
Mhm.
integrity and keeping good documentation, you
Yes.
know, it's really gonna depend on how you feel about that, you know, and you can say, I'm not willing to do dual agency. You know, I think that it's gonna come down to risk tolerance, documentation, integrity, all of those things that you work with, and making sure you just hold the line at what you and your seller decide on. But yeah, it is messy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Okay.
Has anybody ever run into that? I just can't see
haven't.
somebody coming in and not
Yeah.
wanting you to write the contract for them, you know, in essence, hiring you.
I had one that didn't play out. They wanted to make an offer and it was just so bad that the seller wouldn't have it. But they too didn't want to be represented just yet.
That's out now, didn't want to be represented.
Didn't want to be
Yeah.
represented. He was an attorney. They
Yeah.
were young
Yeah.
couple. He was a young
That
attorney.
makes sense.
Young attorney,
Attorney and
but thought he
engineer.
knew some of
But
the,
we also have that on the flip side with working with a for sale by owner.
yeah, right.
And we've kind of represented them a little bit because we
Right.
divide it all up and do it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it does kind of happen just the opposite direction. So how are we doing that now? Like,
Same with the
I
buyer.
think I would ask them,
Phys-
how are you
sub-owner.
going to present your offer?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That we expect there to be a contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know they're not, well, it's not gonna be on one of our forms.
Mhm.
They will eventually have to sign
Well,
the
I've
form
never,
when you
I
come to
guess,
an agreement.
just never met anybody that's that stubborn, but
Yeah, I
doesn't
know.
want to be represented.
One example where that has happened recently, we have an agent, Chris's contracts. He's selling there's a single family home on a large piece of property, but it's turning into, it will be a development. So this scenario happened when the developer brought his own contract. So they are now working between attorneys. So the seller has her own attorney and the developer has his own attorney. So he was unrepresented. So that was one case where there were no contracts that looked like anything we were using for commercial ag or, you know, land, or residential. They created, the buyer brought their own legalese and then her attorney, you know, had a rebuttal and then they came to an agreement.
But
So
they did have paperwork.
They did have paperwork, but nothing was like what we would work with. So that's the only case where
And in
of recent.
that paperwork, there was something stated that he would receive this.
Well, we had Rhonda involved
Correct.
too, but yeah.
Correct. So there were actually 3 attorneys
Yeah.
involved in that, yeah.
and he represented which side?
He represented the seller, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. But it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. It's just the opposite of a for sale by owner, you know, I mean, you're just doing it the same way. So. Anything else? You guys want to know about Maestro, where we're at?
Sure.
So we're looking around July first is when all of that stuff starts to get rolled out. It's getting a little more serious for us. We're having to watch videos, figure things out. There have been some big companies that have already rolled it out, so they are working on all of the glitches and hopefully working that out for us. We're receiving a huge tech stack that will have every single thing about the transaction, including our own personal business inside one program. So it'll handle all of our own accounting, but it also handle all of our deals. And there is a lot of AI involved in it. And a lot of different moving parts. So I just attended a class on something called 1 Point, which we won't call it that. It will be integrated into the Maestro, but it's going to be the way that you start your buyer packet. So when you open your buyer packet, just like you do in .loop, when you kick that off, enter all the information, it's automatically going to filter everything to whomever it needs to go to, whether it's your buyer, your lender, your insurance person, whether it is giving them the roadmap to home ownership, their documents, whatever it might be, it kind of sprays everything out with one click of a button. So we'll learn the 1 Point system on Friday. And again, I don't know that we'll actually call it 1 Point. It'll just be your buyer packet and Maestro, but we're learning bits and pieces of it as it's being introduced to all of us. And as they're working out all of the kinks with those big companies and learning how it's working with them, we're receiving data on that and trying to make it work for us. So
It's rolling out in Chicago and Atlanta right now.
The question is the person, obviously the person who's gonna replace Misty is not here now.
correct.
So they're gonna be caught up on all this because Misty would be the one typically that you would call for. Help.
And that's a
Scary.
yeah, that's a really great question.
So is there a person replacing
So
Misty?
we have a position posted, okay? The person will probably not traditionally fit a Misty role. So what's gonna happen right now? All of Tracy and Kim are being trained on anything. First of all, they all know how to do that stuff anyways, okay?
Yeah.
So they've cross-trained in the past, but they are being cross-trained on anything that has to do with our listings and our sales. Okay, and our buyers. And so those two will be kind of our foundation until our new person comes in. We'll tell you we have posted for a forward-facing person who can handle a lot, from rah-rah to onboarding new agents to being your point person when you call in and say, now what do I do? Like a Misty. But the nuts and bolts of everything are still going to be handled by Kim and Tracy. So none of that, we don't miss a beat on anything that's been happening. A lot of those jobs are going to be absorbed into Maestro. So like Kim's accounting is in Maestro. So you're going to be handling a lot of your accounting. Like you're going to see your account at all times, what's coming in and out, how all of that's working. So then that frees her up to do some of those Misty things. And is there anything you want to add to that? I mean,
Do you remember Tiffany? It's sort of like a mixture between a Misty and a Tiffany and a Kim is what we're hiring.
Yeah.
But Tiffany was very efficient. She would help with onboarding and doing that kind of stuff, but she could also shift and do agent relations and, you know, internal stuff.
Right now, Misty is a jack of all trades.
Yes,
She's
we're very fortunate
she's just a
for that.
go-getter. And we would like to take the onboarding away from off of that person because Misty can do it with ease, right? She knows how to onboard it while she's entering her listing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and we do, it's magic. Yeah, it is. So, but we won't miss a beat on that. Any job that's already being handled in office will be handled between Tracy and Kim. They're already being trained on everything.
So the way that we've operated before, go up with listing off, we can send it to whoever still.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Listings.com.
Well, it'll probably be all within Maestro now. So that part might change. You just hit. submit and
You'll get it
it's-
to the right spot. We'll get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then all these little things to remember, photos.com, listings.com.
As far as how it integrates with .loop, I know it's everybody's burning question. We don't have the answers to that yet, but it's happening elsewhere. So
Somebody else is thinking about this.
It's possible.
Yes.
It's happening with Reese Nichols and some of the other big companies, so we just haven't learned as to how that happens yet. But we do know that when your documents populate within the system, it looks just like .loop's gonna
Yes.
look. You've got the required documents, you've got everything that's in your packet, you can draw things in and out. But how we get it to .loop and .loop back is still a mystery to us, but it's
So we've been
happening
working on the
elsewhere.
back
Yeah.
end of that part,
Yeah.
making it all match. Our eyes are about to go across on the spreadsheets of saying,
Yeah.
we want it to look like this and this list, required, not required. Yeah.
It's good stuff. I mean,
It is.
I know we don't all love the AI stuff and it's scary, but it's pretty darn incredible.
Mhm.
It can be very helpful.
Yeah,
Yes.
It
yeah.
can be, but then.
And
there
it can be
goes
very
that innocent
aggravating
amount.
too.
Yeah.
When you're not old.
This,
Yeah.
so just
Well, it's specifically awesome for
Old people.
no agents involved, and not because the buyers have a family member that's an agent, but the seller is just adamant, does not want any agents involved. So the buyer's daughter-in-law has been helping on the side,
Yeah.
sent me the contract, and it was so blurry, like I couldn't read it at all. And so I was like, can you send me a clearer version? So she sent it to me and very clear. We open up the file, and then I noticed that the buyers, who are her in-laws, don't have like whatever contract because we get contracts of all shape and form, if there's not an agent involved. And this one, the buyers' names are very clear on the top line, but then everywhere they have initialed, like their last name starts with a V, I thought, and everywhere they initialed had like EV, KV, but on the top line it had a last name of Kraus, like Kraus, completely different from
The signature.
so.
The initial.
So I was like, ask the agent who's not involved but is involved,
Is helping.
and I said, are their last names different? Because it was just was controversial. I didn't know which one. I thought I knew which one was right because we had their cell also, so I knew their last names, but the contract had a different last name. Well, she had used AI to clean the contract up, and it changed their whole last name. So, but then everywhere they initialed was correct, but the first line added a whole different last name.
Yeah.
And she sent it to me without it. I guess she didn't even look at it.
Mm,
And so then I was like, what is their correct last name?
right.
It's like, so when she came back and said, oh, I had AI clean it up.
Oh,
Where did that come from?
How do you do that?
that is creepy.
That's scary.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Images, and somebody has 3 arms or something,
Yeah.
something like that. But it wasn't even anywhere close to what the actual last name was.
Yeah.
It is scary.
Wild.
I know.
It's wild. Then
Yeah, if you use it, proofread a
perfect.
lot.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
I got that response this morning. I'm like, I'm gonna have to have her.
Sorry.
Then my boss or
So
Contract doesn't even-
Well, I mean, you should be proofreading either way.
not anymore.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't understand
No, never.
that Hilljack Eastern Kentucky accent. I need a story that understands that. Oh, you need one from Nate. Worse than when Alma used to text, because Alma's texts were terrible. And I looked at it, I'm like, that's not anything close to what I think. Like,
Same.
it is so bad. And I think it's just new to my phone. Like, I used to be able to do it and it did great. But
No,
I don't know what's going on with my phone, but it doesn't understand anything.
On the way here, I was trying to voice record a text, which I do all the time, and I looked down, I was like, that's not.
I feel like it's
At all.
at all. I used to do it.
Same with the accent. I've got an accent there.
So everyone,
Well,
ask me for anything you need right now. I won't be here later this week. If you do need assistance later this week,
She is,
fix what?
looks like it's stunningly.
Oh, the Siri.
Yeah. And she'll talk. But with Lucy.
If you do need help, we can make an appointment and I can come anytime this week as well.
You do a quick CMA form, and she'll be like, yes. And there it goes. It's wild.
Also, if later in the day on Thursday is more convenient for all of you, please let me know
Okay.
because
It has.
nobody's showing up. in the morning. I would like to actually get tickets.
Yeah, it gets in Qualia.
Do? Okay.
I mean, it's all, they schedule
Okay.
closing, it's
Wild.
crazy.
Wow.
But I was like, there's no way this is a real person.
Yeah, yeah. There's
I mean,
very,
it looks like it is, but I truly don't think.
yeah, yes. Well, right now they're feeding the synth that they May. So they're trying to work out all our kinks, and we were sitting on one of the calls and they said they are working with this bot to learn all the things, you know, that are related to all these different regions and everything too, because she'll glitch sometimes on certain things, but
They look pretty good though.
yeah, they look really good. Yeah, I think the handiest part of all of it is going to be that if you use Lucy, like May, we won't see, she'll be on your website if you want her there, but I think with Lucy, if you say, if you don't have time, let's say, to put together a listing packet and you want your market analysis, your CMA, your, let's just say your testimonials, whatever, and you can say to Lucy, put that packet together for me while you're doing something else, and all of a sudden it's there for you. You know, I mean, I think it's gonna be neat how they can spray out all those different things. So, yeah.
Well, how's it gonna look? Like, I don't understand how that works as far as like, is everybody's gonna look the same, or how's it individualized to you? Like, how does that work? You don't know.
They'll have some from Eastern Kentucky.
She'll get to understand you and how you work and how you document things.
Just
And
like
so it-
Yeah, but I don't wanna look like that. I wanna look better than that.
No, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
your wording and your all that kind of
Like
stuff.
that.
Oh, do you mean personalizing your synth?
Yeah,
Your
like
synth will be the same.
Yeah, it'll be
May
the
is always
same.
gonna look like May. Lucy is just like your personal chat GPT.
Assistant.
yeah, but I'm saying like, I wanna look smarter and better than what I truly am, you know what I mean? So,
So your photo will be the same, which is
my
beautiful. And she will learn to
I mean,
talk and do
AI all
anything
over
you're
the
saying.
place, like not just the wording, but all.
Right?
Excuse me, 29 again, please. Oh, that's funny, guys. Well, we'll see. It's gonna be a new adventure.
Yeah.
That's for sure, but
It's life.
yep.
So we have one vote for Thursday, Mary Ann Simpson, or afternoon on Thursday, Mary Ann Simpson.
Okay.
What time will it be after?
For what?
To be coming on Thursdays afternoon.
Here.
I don't know. I'll have to work out what time is good.